In this video, let's focus on making sure that we can create our warrior unit using our build menu. So first of all, what we will need to do is select our farmer unit and let's duplicate a farmer unit. Let's select this farmer unit 2. Let's press F to focus on it in the scene view, and we should be able to now focus on it. Let's select the move tool and let's move it one tile to the left, for example, so that we can see it. Now what I want to do is swap the image, so we are going to select the sprite of the worker underscore 2 and let's type infantry, and we should have the infantry 0, 1, 2 and so on, and we are going to select the infantry light infantry 4 as our sprite, for example, and this will be our warrior. Now what we can do is use this prefab, so let's drag it into our prefabs folder. And let's select the prefab variant, since we have a lot of scripts that are common between the worker and the warrior. So this way we have our worker unit, and actually I haven't renamed it. So let's open this variant, let's rename this to be warrior unit. And let's rename the file as well. Okay, let's go back. And now we can go to our canvas, open the canvas, open the build panel town. And in the selection panel, the second panel will represent our warrior. As you can see, the picture is a bit different, so let's change the source image to be infantry 4. And now we can select our parent, so the UI build selection 1. And one of those components should be our UI build selection handler. And we can pass here the structure prefab. In our case, this will be our warrior unit. Let's ensure that the interactable is set to be true. So now, if we press play, we should see that when we create a town, let's create a town, we can now select our warrior. Let's click the next turn, and as you can see, this is our warrior. One issue that we have is if we select it, we are going to have the build menu opened, and of course we only want the farmers to be able to build, not the warriors. So let's stop it and let's fix it. Okay. So let's select our build system, and what we can do is actually before that we need to create a new script. So what we have now is our build system. Let's select the build system build manager. What it does is finds a farmer unit by calling selected object get component of type unit. But both the farmer and the warrior has a unit script on it, and this doesn't differentiate those units. So what we are going to do is we are going to select our scripts folder, right click here, create a C# script, and we are going to call this worker. So this will be our new script, and what we can do now is we can assign this worker script to our farmer unit prefab. So let's open our farmer unit prefab, and we are going to add here our empty worker script. Now, worker is a type of unit, so basically we could use inheritance, but from my own experience I know that inheritance leads to many problems and to the code complexity. So instead of using inheritance and making the worker extend the unit script, instead we are going to create a new script type of type worker, and we are going to use composition to find a worker script and unit script on this single object. Now later on we may want to refine our code so the worker will know that it has a unit, for example, or that the worker will actually pass the types of structures that we can place in our build farm panel. So let's select this, let's disable this town panel. So maybe we want to put the types of the structures that we can build inside the worker script and show them using this UI. So there are many ways that we can use this worker script, but for now what we want to do is differentiate between the worker, the warrior and the farmer, so that we know which one can build and which one cannot. So we have our worker script and we have added it onto our prefab farmer unit. So here is our worker script. The issue is that we have used the prefab variant method of creating our warrior unit. So now it also has the worker script, so basically nothing has changed. So let's select our warrior unit variant and let's remove this component. So now the warrior unit will not have the worker script, so we are going to be able to differentiate between those two. And to actually do this, or to use this worker script, we will go to our build system, and now we can open our build manager script. Okay. Here in our building manager, what we have is handle selection method. And this took the selected object, which is either null or a game object reference, and we have found the farmer unit equals selected object get component unit. Now instead, what we are going to do is call worker, and we are going to call worker equals selected object.get component, and we are going to type worker. So now, if this is null, we know that we are not dealing with a worker. So if worker is not null, we are going to now call our handle selection method, and we are going to pass to this handle selection, handle unit selection, a worker reference. So now, if we have this, we do not need this code. Let's select it, and let's Ctrl X to cut it out from here, and we are going to put it inside our handle unit selection. So let's, in front of the whatever logic is here, we are going to call farmer unit equals, and we are going to access the worker get component unit. And now we can call the unit build UI toggle visibility inside this if statement. So if farmer unit is not null and the farmer unit can still move, then we are going to toggle the visibility of our UI. Else we are not going to do anything. So let's save this. Let's go back to Unity. Okay, so now we should be able to press play, and our changes should prevent us from selecting the warrior to build structures. Let's select a warrior in the town to create it. Let's wait the next turn. And as you can see, we have our warrior and we have our farmer. The farmer shows the UI to build, and the warrior does not. And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. So what we want to do in the next video is introduce some stats for our units so that possibly our warrior can move further, or it can have some form of a value that represents that this is a warrior and not another farmer. So what we are going to do is we are going to create some data that we are going to assign to each unit that will represent, for example, how far it can move, as well as its health points, and so on, that we are going to later use when we create some attack mechanic. Okay, see you in the next video.